I've lived everywhere, man. In Texas, anyway. From Waco to Lubbock, Corpus to El Paso, Dallas to San Antonio, with Houston in between. From the defenders of the Alamo centuries ago to Medal of Honor winners of today. We don't ever want to forget the contributions our Mexican-American forefathers have made to enrich the lives of all Texans. We also want to recognize today's rising stars that are paving the way for Texas' next 200 years. May God bless Texas. This is TXMXTV. Happy New Year, happy 2021, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TXMXTV. My name is Orlando Salazar, your host. And today we have what I like to call the king and queen of the Rio Grande Valley. Adrienne and Jimmy Garza are going to be visiting with us today. They are two very dynamic people, and you're going to find them very fun and interesting to talk to learn about. They've really impacted their community in so many ways down in the valley, and so we're really happy to have them with us today. Adrienne, Jimmy, welcome to TXMXTV.
Thank you, Orlando. We appreciate you inviting us and being part of this.
Thanks for having us.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, especially because we're going to be talking to both of you, but I know that I want to mention just off the top that you are both business people, you are entrepreneurs, you are leaders in your community, you have several lines of business that you operate, you have a wonderful family, you're involved with local politics. Your plates are full with not only your personal lives, but your lives within the community and really within the state. So let's start with your personal lives, with how you guys met. And I'll throw that question out to either one of you.
Sure. Well, Adrienne and I, believe it or not, we met at a Christmas tree stand over 21 years ago, and I was the one selling the trees and she was the one purchasing the trees. So we kind of met through a business, I guess, opportunity, right? Where she was out shopping for a tree and I was the guy selling the trees. So that was kind of the beginning of where we initially, made eye contact and fell in love. But after that, I guess Adrienne could add a little bit more to the story, but that's the initial time, first time I saw her and knew she was something special.
Well,
Wow.
I just
Under
want
the
to add
Christmas
that I just want to add that my friend's dad was looking for a tree. I was with my friend and we went, and I saw this tall, dark, and handsome man, and he wasn't paying much attention to me. And as we left, I said, "Who was that tall, dark, and handsome man?" And it just so happened that his friend was in the car, and his friend relayed the message that the young señorita thought he was handsome.
Wow. Early Christmas present, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely, the timing was very unique, and I think it was, meant to be.
Now, how old were you guys?
Well, let's see.
Well, Adrienne was 19. I was 23. I was right out of college. I had just moved back home. I had graduated from Baylor, and my first gig back home was selling Christmas trees on the side of the road. My dad was importing a lot of trees into Mexico, and I was pulling some trees off those trucks and trying to make a living. And so, it was, I guess, winners, businesses as an entrepreneur. The first time I was taking a chance and starting my own small business. And I guess it's kind of unique that, that's where I met my wife. So
Christmas must mean a lot to you guys.
Definitely. More ways than one.
Okay, so you meet very early, very young, and you get married at some point, have a family. So tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, we have two wonderful boys. They're Aaron's 18 and AJ's 20, so they're getting to that young adult age where it's important for us to be playing a big role in their lives. Earlier, you mentioned that our plate is full, and definitely keeping these kids aligned to to conservative principles and to their values and how we raised them. They're not quite out of their teenage years yet and entered into adulthood, but it's a critical time where they're a very important part of our lives. I guess outside of our politics and business, most of our time is spent with them and as a family, and just trying to lead them down the right path.
Adrienne, you kind of have a little bit of a unique story, and you can go into as much detail or as little detail as you want, but you care to share some of your story about one of your sons?
Okay. Well, so after the Christmas tree stand, we did. He spoke about me in certain circles, and I spoke about him, and he had his life going on, and I had my life going on. But we did eat somewhere. I was at the beach, right? And I'm friends with his brothers, and there was a gathering, a little party going on, and we actually shared Long Island iced tea. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but we became fast friends, and I was already going to move to San Antonio, and he had just located in McAllen, so it was sort of a long distance relationship. My dad and my grandfather, both well-known attorneys, also had, wanted me to go to law school, and I wasn't too sure if that's what I wanted to do, but I knew that college was very, very important to them, and so things were getting a little bit serious. I think we did go on a cruise together, and my dad, at first wasn't too sure because Jimmy's just a few years older than me, but I was smitten from day one, and we would have the long distance relationship where he'd come visit me, and then I'd come down and visit him. And so, during our time, we did, one thing led to another, and we did have premarital sex. Sorry, mom and dad and grandparents. And we were young, and I was very nervous of disappointing my parents for not doing it the right way. Raised in a traditional home, you date, and then you get married, and then later on you have children. And so we sort of jumped the gun there. There was definitely love from the get-go. But I was just so afraid of not only letting my dad know that I was, having sex with my boyfriend, but also, I was taught in elementary that when you become pregnant, that it's just a tadpole. And so I wasn't really ever thinking of it as being a baby. When we found out I was pregnant, we did drive to the abortion clinic, and they did give me the Valium, and I was extremely nervous and sitting back and forth, and we sat in a U shape, much like cows to slaughter. Sorry, this is the honest truth. And so, as they mentioned a name, we moved seats over. And once I got to the last seat, I was pacing. I was very nervous. And the woman next to me said, "Why are you doing this?" And I was young and feisty. And I said, "Well, why are you doing it? You're here." And she said, "I have 4 kids. My husband's passed. I have 2 jobs. I can't afford it. You look like you don't want to do this. Ask to see the baby." And so when she said baby, it kind of put things into perspective. Although she planted a seed, and I was thinking about it, but they called my name, and I go in, and I still get undressed, and I'm still shaking. They ended up giving me another Valium to calm me down, and the doctor comes close and says, "Get your legs on the stirrup," and he has the vacuum next to me. I was kind of out of it, so a lot of things are hard to remember, but there are some things that I won't ever forget. And one of those things was when I asked him if I could see the baby, he said, "No, ma'am, we don't do that here." And then I asked again as he got closer, and I said, "Wait, I'd like to see the baby." And he said, "I already told you." And he put his hands on my thighs and just said, "Relax, it's almost done." And something inside me, a lion, came out, and I took my legs down and I yelled in his face and I said, I want to see my baby. And he took off his gloves and left the room. And the young lady that was there helping him said, just relax, just relax. She put the gel on my belly. And he was ginormous. He was beautiful. He was kicking and he was fighting. And he looked somewhat like, like he was convulsing and shaking and fighting. And I just, for a moment, I realized that he was afraid of me. He knew something was coming. He looked like he was in severe pain and trauma. And so when someone says that they don't feel pain, I know for a fact that that's false. And so, AJ is a blessing in our life. After that happened, I was young. I was taught to have a mind of my own. And so in the car, he said, well, we're going to have to get married now. And I said, oh no, we can love this baby and we can grow up to, as friends, but we don't need to get married. When I get married, my man's going to get on his knees and he's going to ask me to marry him because we're going to make each other very happy for the rest of our lives.
Hey, Jimmy, you've got a headstrong young lady on your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely, from an early, stage in our marriage, we understood that, Adrienne's perspective on, just what role I was to play and she was to play in our marriage it's clear, right? We had a mutual respect and her opinion, mattered and my opinion mattered. And we just, that was the beginning of our marriage, right? And our relationship. And, it's a beautiful story. It's one that, you were in a crossroad, as young adults and had a decision to make. And, we chose life, and that's, a great way to begin your marriage, in my opinion. And so, God's been leading us from there.
You guys are definitely a powerful couple. No doubt about that in so many ways. And that certainly laid the foundation for who you ended up being for the rest of your lives. Such a wonderful story in many ways, a tough one to hear, but a heroic story as well. So you have 2 children, and you advance in life. You start businesses, right? I mean, tell us about how you got into the business world. We see how your family started, a challenging way, but in the end, it was a victorious way. But tell us how you got into the business world and how that entrepreneurship showed itself from starting out selling Christmas trees to going way beyond that.
Well, it was interesting because the year that, Adrienne and I got married, and, I remember we had a Christmas and our son, I don't know, Adrienne was already maybe like 8 months, or I don't know, she was already showing, and we were at a Christmas tree stand. And typically when you're selling Christmas trees, you shut down late at night. There's a lot of cash involved, and there's a very suspicious car waiting for us in the parking lot. And so that was an incident that, we were chased. We were driving home. The car chased us. We drove to the police department, and it was a kind of scary situation. My wife was pregnant. And that was the last of, my entrepreneurship in Christmas trees. We sold the tents and all of that. But, I really transitioned into the produce business, which is more the family business that, I had been exposed to, but I wasn't fully committed to right out of college. And after the Christmas trees, I went in and tried to help my dad, run and build a produce company called Bebo Distributing. And we've been around for 30 plus years. We kind of, spend most of our time, learning and innovating that business before, we got into other stuff, right? We started investing in a boot company. We started investing in a water company. We just kind of, went into different, lines of business. But, it was really important to come back home for me and join the family business and really help it get to the next level. That I think was my first goal early on, was to really help Dad get the company that he started off the ground, and we've been doing that ever since.
So describe, what do you mean by produce? Tell us exactly what that means.
Yeah, so what we do is basically we we have a portfolio of growers all throughout Mexico, growing high-tech greenhouses. A lot of vegetables is what we focus on. We focus on tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers. We focus on growing produce in Mexico throughout the year and importing it into the United States. And we do business with the major retailers. We do Kroger, we do Walmart, H-E-B, Sprouts, all the major retailers around the country. And it's an import-export business. We also import into Mexico. For a long time we were buying apples and stone fruit out of California and Washington and going southbound with it. So we grew up on the border, man, and that's international trade. This is where the bridges are, and this is where the trade happens between both countries. And we've been privileged to grow up here and be raised here and understand that dynamic, and that's the core of our business.
Well, you've been very successful in your business, and Adrienne, you were with him along the way. What role did you play in the business? Obviously, you raised children together, but I'm sure, Adrienne, you were kind of hands-on, a lot more hands-on doing that because Jimmy was really busy. But what else did you get involved with besides the business part of helping Jimmy, Adrienne?
I think we even one thing he didn't add is I think we even sold pumpkins on the side of the road at a very young age. And so
Right.
I've always really admired Jimmy's family. They're entrepreneurs at heart, and they work very hard, always working really. And I've always done my best to support him in anything that he wants to do. But it's really interesting to see how our families really came together, and I know that that's a whole other story that we might need to come back to. But starting from the very beginning, the roots of our family, who we are and where we come from, I think both of our families both wanted the best for our kids, for their kids, and never gave up hope on what they believed in. And for my family, education was very important. So going to school and not giving up, and so. I know that Jimmy also was the city commissioner of FAR, and my father is a state representative for 10 years. And so we kind of collided. And so now we do have a Peng and Garza consulting. Jimmy also does other consulting as well. And so we've really used the fruits of what God has given us and done the best to help others. And I think that that's been the main focal point, is using the blessings that we've had to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll add a little bit, Orlando, to your question, because Adrienne's role was obviously, like you mentioned, she was at home. We were raising, two boys, but she was a soundboard, a very good soundboard for advice and for patience. And when you're out there working every day, you come home and you have that, catch up and talk with your spouse about how your day went, and giving me ideas, and just always, like she said, being supportive of the risk, right? Because there's a lot of risk in entrepreneurship and opening up new businesses. She was always very supportive in helping me with that, and helping encourage, because not all of the businesses have been a success, right? You have some failures, you have some wins and some losses. And so it's good to have a strong spouse always encouraging you throughout that journey, right? So that was a huge value add, I think, for us as a couple.
Well, you guys are definitely a partnership, no doubt about it. You're stronger together than separate.
Sure.
I know, Jimmy, that you have the boot business, you have the water business. Tell us how you got involved in the water business.
Well, the water business came through, it's like God's just opening up, doors, and that's what I try to teach my kids, and just, sometimes, God puts people in your path. And the water business was really a relationship that came to me through another business that had just failed. And one of my partners brought in the water opportunity, said, hey, there's this water out of Mexico, really needs some representation and distribution, and why don't you try it out? And I tried this water out of Tehuacan. It was a mineral water in the time, right, when Topo Chico was becoming very popular in the state of Texas. There was a new water that I had never heard of, but I saw the opportunity to introduce it to Texas. And I took a chance and I said, hey, well, if I can sell produce, why can't I sell water? It's very easy when you believe in a product, when you believe in a business. And to me, I had a gut feeling that the Texas consumer was looking for an alternative to Topo Chico, and just educating folks on a new mineral water from Mexico was kind of my challenge, and my goal was to see if people would embrace it, and they did. We had really some success early on with Central Market and the HEB family taking us on board and introducing it to the Central Market stores across Texas, and that kind of put the water on the map. And it was a kind of a fun launch, and we're having fun with it. We're growing it.
Well, I've had the water, and it is terrific. You were kind enough to let us use your water at a not-for-profit event that we sponsored here, and everybody loved it. So, I mean, you had a great gut feeling, and it worked out pretty well, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely been a winner. Definitely, I've learned a lot more about building relationships in the beverage space, right? Which is a little bit different than the produce space, but it's still the same stores, right? And so I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to learn about beverage, and now it seems like that's where I'm diving in. I really enjoy it, and we're bringing other labels on board, and look forward to introducing new brands to U.S. consumers.
Well, Adrienne, I saw on your profile that you've been involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and are you still involved with that organization?
Unfortunately, the chapter down here closed, but yes, it was a very good experience. All the nonprofit boards that I've been a part of are great causes, but that's definitely one of them. It's basically a mentorship organization that helps children that are struggling to have somebody believe in them, and so I think it's very, very important. Some good memories there.
Well, tell us about the Valley in general. You know, we're so far removed up here in North Texas. Many years ago, I had a chance to take a job in El Valle, and I chose not to take it. And I kind of almost regret the fact that I didn't have an opportunity to experience living in the Valley. What is the future of the Rio Grande Valley? And just tell us your overall feel about being there, the pride of being there, and how you see things evolving down there.
Well, I think we could both compliment each other on this question, but I'd say that South Texas is a beautiful place. You can go fishing, and it's an hour away, and then you can go hunting. It's 30, 45 minutes away. The people, the culture is unlike any other. The area is very traditionally conservative, even though it's been Democrat for over 100 years, but we're fighting that on another level. But we work hard to give our kids, a broad understanding of our values and our faith in God. And so our church is amazing. We love Pastor Eli. I think South Texas is a great place. The culture, the music is unlike any other. I love the name of the show or the background Tex-Mex, because people will ask me, "You speak good Spanish?" And I said, "I speak great Tex-Mex."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a unique part of the state, Orlando. I think that I would consider it as an emerging part of the state. The like Adrienne talked about, just it's very unique. In this part of the state, our neighbors aren't like where you're at. It's not like Dallas and Fort Worth is an hour away. I mean, literally Mexico and other countries, 2 minutes away from where we live, 10 minutes away. So living really on the border has its uniqueness in terms of being really a true bicultural, bilingual kind of part of the state where you live it every day. It's not, our neighbors are a different country, right? Are Mexicans. True Mexicans, right, with a whole other set of cultural and language, and so it's definitely a unique part where traditionally, some folks would look at the Rio Grande Valley and maybe have a negative tone to the proximity to Mexico, but I think it's flourishing now. I think what you're seeing in Brownsville, when you have Elon Musk, bring his operations to our part of the state, that's indicative, right, that there's opportunity here. There's something unique in this area that folks are willing to invest and move their operations to. And so I think that the valley's potential is huge. I mean, I think the economic development that's going on right now is unprecedented. I mean, I know Texas in general is growing, but usually people would bypass, the valley, El Valle, like you said. But now it seems more and more important. People are comfortable investing down here, and I see the future bright.
I think that also Tejanos down here, which is what I identify myself with, but Tejanos, we love our Bibles and we love our guns. And so the Second Amendment is very, very important down here. And so I wanted to just take a moment to plug that in. I hope that the NRA will consider Hidalgo County in South Texas. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to raise your kids. So yeah, NRA, come to Hidalgo County. We'd love to have you.
Headquarters to Texas. So, hey, there you go. There's your first plug, your first invite there. Well, listen, I know the future of the Rio Grande Valley is bright and strong because of you two. You guys are leaders. You guys are examples to everyone that lives down there. And so we are so grateful that you're there. I look forward to coming down and seeing your place, seeing your business. I'd love to come down and do that. So, Lord willing, I'll be able to do that. So thank you so much for visiting with us today. We're so proud of you. Keep up the good work, and I know I'll be seeing you soon. So thank you so much, Adrienne and Jimmy.
Orlando. Appreciate it.
Bye, Orlando. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
You bet. So if you have an idea for a person that, or even a couple that you would like us to consider interviewing on TXMXTV, just send an email to TXMXTV.com, and we will get that information out. We'll receive that, and we'll get in touch with those folks and do the best we can to bring them on the show. And before we leave, I always leave it with a Vaya con Dios segment. And Jimmy and Adrienne are in the produce business. They are in the business of seeing things grow. And those things cannot grow unless a seed is planted. And in our lives, we have the opportunity to plant seeds every day, and that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. The seeds don't always show a result. Sometimes they fall on hard ground. Sometimes they fall on rocky ground. Sometimes they fall on ground and they get choked out by weeds. But sometimes those seeds of the gospel fall on fertile ground. And the gospel is received in someone's heart, and it changes someone's life. So I would urge all of us today to remember to plant the seed of the gospel, because that is a seed that will change someone's life, and it will change it for an eternity. So thank you for being with us today on this segment of TXMXTV. God bless you, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.